Hi guys, you are welcome to Yvonne Winifred UG. This vest that you see here is the inspiration for this tutorial today. I found it on Instagram as a two-piece as you see it here, and I was so impressed and I decided to make one too in this Ankara fabric, and it is a princess that vest. If you want to see how I made mine, let us start. So I have this piece and this is going to be my back piece. I'll be explaining everything later on. It is on fold as you see, and that is how it looks like. Then for the front piece, I have this piece also, and it is on fold still. And for the front one, I have my lining piece also folded. It is still in this same fabric. So for the lining, I'm going to use this same Ankara fabric even for the main piece. Lining, both linings, front and back. So this is my front piece as I've said. And to determine my width or the width of this piece, guys, I considered about 4 inches here for the button overlap or for the front overlap that you see in the inspiration picture. Then after I considered my bust measure, not even only the bust measurement, but the hip measurement divided by 4 plus sewing allowances and the dart allowances. For the length or the how long this piece is, I considered the waist measurement. In this case I used 16.5 inches, and then I added more 6 inches. You see, more 6 inches. Then I added just 1 inch as the hemming allowance because I had not decided how I will finish the hemline of this vest, but you will see everything as we go on. So now to start our markings, guys, this line here is going to be the center front, not the overlap, guys, but this line where I've written CF is the center front. We are taking all our measurements from there. So let me just first cut off this piece that I don't need and put it away. So now this is what we have. So first off, from this center front, I'm marking half of my shoulder measurement. So I usually use 7.5 and I add half an inch if I'm going to add sleeves, but since this is sleeveless, I'm going to use 8 inches. Since it is a vest, I really want it to be a little bit free, but 8 inches even sewing allowances inclusive. But since it is sleeveless, you can even move in by like 1.5 inches or half an inch. So below the shoulder, I marked 1 inch shoulder slant below that where my shoulder measurement stopped. So from that half an inch, I went down for the armhole depth of 8 inches. So 8 inches for the armhole depth, then connect a line like this from the 1 inch shoulder slant to the armhole depth of 8 inches. So for the neckline width, guys, you can use 3.5 inches, 3 inches. So me, I'm going to use 3 inches and mark it down like this. That is the neckline width. For the depth, it will be just connected into the overlap that we added for the center front. So I just connect from that neckline width to the 1 inch shoulder slant. And right away, guys, before I forget, I love adding the joining allowance of half an inch at the top there for, or at the shoulder top, for joining the shoulder later. So now I'm going to determine the midpoint of these 8 inches, which is half an inch, and move inwards at that midpoint by half an inch only for the front piece. Only for the front piece. For the back piece, you just connect your curve from the midpoint into the chest line, but for the front, you move inwards by half an inch for a large size. For small people, you just move in by like 3/4 of an inch. Then next at the waistline, guys, for the overlap I'm going to use 3 inches, but since I'm marking directly onto the fabric, I add half an inch and I mark 3.5 inches. Half an inch is the turning allowance or the seam allowance. So then also for my nipple to nipple measurement, divided by 2, it is 4 inches. So I added half an inch to mark 4.5 inches. So guys, for the overlap I have 3.5 inches, and for the nipple to nipple measurement it is 4.5 inches, because I don't want the overlap to be beyond that princess dart, or to be beyond the nipple to nipple measurement. So from the top I'm determining my bust line, which is at 10.5 inches, and create that line there, and along that line I'm going to mark my 4.5 inches, which is the nipple to nipple measurement, plus half an inch, which is the joining allowance. So we need this to form our princess dart. So on all these lines you mark your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus half an inch if you are marking directly onto fabric. So below the bust line I went down by 1 inch, and from that 1 inch I connect my princess dart line up to the hemline of this vest. Then I'm going to also continue to connect it into the midpoint of this armhole depth line, like this, with a curve, because the princess dart is curved towards the armhole like that. So I'm going to increase it outside by 1 inch. You see, you increase it out towards the sides by 1 inch outside of that armhole line, because we need that 1 inch when we are joining our 2 pieces. If you don't add that, when you join your pieces, they won't be matching properly. There will be like there will be a shortage. But if you add that 1 inch, when it comes to princess darts, it comes out beautifully. So along the chest line, guys, I'm going to mark the bust measurement divided by 4 here. If you want, you add ease allowance, then you add 1 inch for joining the princess dart, then another 1 inch for the side seam allowance. Then since we've moved out by that 1 inch, we are going to form a new armhole curve for that side front piece, like this. From that 1 inch we moved out towards into the chest line. We formed that new armhole curve. So the first one, we don't need it, we won't be using it. Along the waistline I just moved by half an inch on either sides to form the dart. So I connected towards the bust line like this, because guys, from our picture, the inspiration picture, the waistline is a little bit cinched in, so that's why I had to form this dart along the waistline, and then connect even downwards like this. And if you're forming a princess dart bustier, that is also something else. This is just a simple princess dart. So along the waistline I'm marking the waist measurement divided by 4 plus that 1 inch dart intake that we took in. You add it, then also you add the 1 inch for joining the princess dart, then another 1 inch for the side seam allowance. Side seam allowance is up to you. You can even add 1.5 inches or 2 inches. Then even at the hemline, I'm just going to use the hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for sewing the dart, the princess dart, and also the 1 inch for the side seam allowance, and then connect simply like this. If you have any questions, please comment below. So guys, this is what we have so far. So when it comes to the hemline, guys, from the end here I'm going to move in by half an inch to shape the sides. So whatever I do at the hand, I also do at the hemming allowance. So since I've moved upwards at the end of the vest by half an inch, even from the hemline I move up, or from the hemming allowance I move up by 1 inch and connect simply like this, just for the sides. So that is what we have. Then for the neckline, or the neckline depth, now remember at the top here, the neckline width we used was 3 inches. So I'm going to connect from that 3 inches to the 3.5 inches button overlap that we added. So guys, I don't have a long ruler. I'm just going to use my measuring tape to form dotted lines like this, so that I use my short ruler to connect with a straight line like this from my vest. So this is what I do here, connecting. I don't know why I was overdoing this line, but anyway, you just connect a straight line like that. And then when it comes to this place, also depending on how stylish, on how you are a designer, you can connect from the overlap to the dart like this. I did that, but I was like, this is too open, so I redid it and connected from the overlap to the center front line along the hemline like that. That is what I'll be using. The second line is what I'll be cutting. That is where I'll be cutting. So now guys, I start the cutting like that, everywhere like this, and this is all that I do for the front. So if you want me to make you a princess that bustier vest, a bustier or bustier is different story, but not so different from this, but you cinch in your dart, or you do the dart manipulation more than what we've done here. But anyways, this is what we do for a simple princess dart. And guys, for the back piece, I'm just going to repeat kind of like most of these things that we've done here. If you want, you can leave the princess dart for the back and you just do the normal simple dart, but I decided to still continue with the princess dart even for the back, and we are cutting that next. But these are our pieces for the front. So now we are going to just pin 2 pieces. You get 1 piece from either sides. After cutting, you just right away join your pieces. By the way guys, before cutting, it is always best to label your pieces so that you are not confused. So that is it guys. When it comes to princess darts, I love sewing from downwards going upwards, from the hemline joining by half an inch like that. You pin, then after you join from down going upwards, it comes out nicely to me when I start sewing from down going upwards. So do that, and that is what I'll be doing at the sewing machine. Then guys, when it comes to the back piece, I've already labeled or marked most of the things. I'm sorry, I thought I was recording, but I wasn't recording, but I'm going to explain everything that I did. First, I created like a zipper allowance, which was 1 inch, but we won't be adding a zipper. But before the center back, I created 1 inch, and along the waistline, to cinch in the back, you move in by half an inch from the center back towards the inside. You move in by half an inch to eliminate the bulge at the back guys. Then you repeat that same here with this allowance that we added. So I'm going to just mark half an inch along this allowance that we added, And since we've moved in by half an inch along at the bust, I'm not going to add half an inch for the sewing allowance or for the joining allowance along that 1 inch that I added, but I'm going to add that half an inch along the hemline like this. So I'm going to connect from the hemline to where the center back starts from. Guys, this is all to eliminate the back bulge for your vest or for your coats, for your tops. Then still connect from the waistline to this half an inch at the neckline depth here. For the back neckline depth, I only used half an inch and carved out. The neckline width, I used 3 inches just as the front. The shoulder is just the same. Then for the dart, just as we did for the front, and even the other measurements. I also took in the dart for the back. Then for the armhole, I used also still 8 inches. Then I didn't move in by half an inch at the midpoint of the armhole, I think you see, but I went out by the 1 inch and created the armhole curve as you see here into the chest line. I didn't add any other allowances. I just added 1 inch for taking for sewing up the princess dart, and also 1 inch for the side seam allowance, and then labeled my pieces like that. I'm sorry I lost that footage. So after that, you just cut. So to cut, you're going to cut along the neckline depth like this into this half an inch allowance that we added at the center back, into the hemline like that, the sides, then into this princess dart like that, and that will be all. So you do that even for your lining pieces. So guys, these are my pieces even pinned already. So I'll sew from down by half an inch going upwards, and I'll repeat the same for all my pieces. Pin 2 pieces first before joining the center back. Remember, at the center back we cut the back piece into 2, but don't worry, in the next video I'm going to be showing you the sewing, all the sewing, and I hope to see you there.